So you just graduated and you're wondering, how can you go about getting hired mid-year? Maybe you're thinking it's going to be super difficult. Maybe you've tried in the past and you haven't gotten a lot of callbacks. Well, today we're going to be talking about 5 tips to getting hired mid-year. So with that being said, let's dive in. Now, as you're applying to be hired mid-year, you might be wondering what your first step should be when it comes to trying to get a job in the middle of the year. Well, the first thing I highly recommend that the teachers I work with and that I coach do is to really research the school. There are a couple different websites that I recommend researching on. One of them that I absolutely love is niche.com. Niche.com is a great resource. It's actually what I used when I was looking at moving from Oregon to New Mexico, but it's a great resource to kind of rate not only the cities and states you might be thinking of moving to, but also the schools as well. You can look up individual schools and it'll show you things like demographics, the grade, how many people are passing the state tests, how the teachers rate the school, and even there's a section for reviews left by those in the community and fellow teachers. So I really like referring back to that to kind of give me a good idea on whether or not this district is going to be a good fit, or this school in particular is going to be a good fit. So that's the first thing, is to get super clear on what I want and to research the school, whether or not it's going to be a good fit for me. Another resource I like to use when it comes to researching the school is the mission statement and values. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I particularly don't recommend using a blanket cover letter and resume. Instead, I prefer researching the school or the district's mission ahead of time and their values. And I like picking some of those values that feel truly aligned to me and incorporating it into my interview. So before you even apply to a position, I highly recommend you take a look at the mission statement and the values. That way you can start incorporating it into things like your cover letter and your answer questions in your interview. So that's the first thing, is to get super clear on which schools you want to research and start coming up with a list of things about them, maybe their rating on niche, and some of their missions and values that you can incorporate in the interview process. So that's the first step. The second step when it comes to getting hired mid-year as a teacher is to customize your cover letter and resume. Now, we talked about this in the last section, but I highly recommend that you don't just copy and print a generic cover letter and resume and mass produce it and mass send it to a bunch of people. That's like when you see mass sent emails on your email list. They aren't really tailored to you or something you're passionate about, so you're not likely to be engaged with that. Whereas if you were to get a personalized email from your best friend, that is something that you're going to be really tailored to and really like and interested and engaged in. The same goes with your interview. You want to incorporate those mission and values that you feel aligned with into your cover letter and resume. And if this is something that you're interested in seeing me do, make sure to follow wherever you're tuning in, because in the upcoming weeks, I'm going to be showing you how I in-depth research different districts and how I actually incorporate those into my cover letter to help me stand out and make me feel more aligned to the district I'm applying to naturally without forcing it. So make sure to subscribe wherever you're tuning in so you don't miss that content coming up. But essentially, you want to pick out those values, like I said, that you're very aligned and attuned with, and incorporate them into your resume and cover letter as you're applying. That'll show the district that this is a good fit and that you're the candidate that they've been looking for. The third step to getting hired mid-year is to really emphasize during your interview that one of your strengths is flexibility. Now, when districts are hiring mid-year, oftentimes they're really looking for somebody who is going to be flexible, because they're going to be coming in with a classroom that's already set up and maybe taken down, a classroom that already has students, already has procedures in place, already has all these things. and they're already in the middle of the curriculum. So they need a teacher who's going to be able to come in, be confident, and be able to be flexible and finish out the year strong. So make sure whenever you get an interview question, make sure to highlight specific stories where you were flexible and you are able to go with the flow and show up confidently, because that's really what the district is going to be looking for in general if they are looking for a candidate that's going to be hired mid-year. The fourth step I highly recommend when it comes to getting a position mid-year is have a very, very strong follow-up. Now, here's what often I see a lot of my teacher clients, the ones that I coach, do, and that is they might maybe, do an interview and they don't follow up. And if they do, it's just a generic email that they're sending across, to all the interviews they have. You don't really want to do that. You really want to have a strong follow-up. And a strong follow-up often looks like, reminding the district or the interview committee about specific aspects of your interview that you connected with. Maybe someone on the panel shared a story about them. Maybe you both related to something, or you're really passionate about something. Make sure to refer that back into your email or your follow-up, whatever you're sending them, to make sure that you're reminding them of who you are and what you're passionate about. You also want to remind them of why you are a good fit for that position, and what values and mission statements from that mission statement, which values and your it factor, and how that aligns with that school's mission and how you can help get them there. All of these are going to be really, really important when it comes to a strong follow-up. And be confident about it without being clingy about it. It's one thing to be confident and know that the right teaching position is naturally going to come to you versus acting desperate. So make sure to do it in a confident, this or something better, I'm sending this email, I'm doing my part, and then let it go. And so that's what I recommend when it comes to a strong follow-up, is make sure that you are reminding the district, who you are, what you're about, and how you can help them achieve their goal and their mission in that school. If you want a step-by-step process in regards to how I personally recommend that not only my clients use, but what I've used in the past for follow-up, I actually have follow-up templates that you can actually grab. So make sure to check that out in the Ultimate Teacher Interview Bundle, because I have them already written out. All you have to do is plug in more specific info, and I even have some examples in there. So make sure to check that out. The fifth and final step to getting a position mid-year is to have a strong mindset. So I've worked with, teachers in the past that I've coached who maybe they started applying in like August or July or June after they graduated, and for some reason or another, they just weren't getting hired. And they kept applying, and then I worked with them. We started working on their it factor, what helps them stand out, and they ended up getting hired by their dream district. And it was simply a simple mindset shift in their approach that made the major difference when it came to their interview process. So with that being said, here are some mental mindset shifts I recommend making when it comes to applying to a position or trying to get a position mid-year. The first one is, it's not this one, then it's the next one. By that I mean, if this district hires you, that's okay. It just means that that was not going to be a mutually beneficial position for either party, and there's something better out there for you. So it's this or something better. And so if this district doesn't hire you and this interview doesn't go well, that just means there's another district that's more aligned with you out there that's making its way to you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when it comes to interviewing, it's easy to feel nervous and feel like you're being put on display, and you're worried that you're going to mess up, you're going to stutter, you're going to say something ridiculous. Either way, how I like to think of interviews and how I recommend my teachers think about interviews is, interviews are just like having a coffee date with your future best friend. Imagine you're just going on a speed dating friend style. you're at a coffee shop, you're grabbing your cup of coffee, you sit down across the future teacher bestie, and you're just asking them about life. You're asking them, hey, what are you passionate about? What do you want the classroom to look like? You know, what's your mission as a teacher? And you're just seeing if they're mutually aligned. And that's really what interviewing is. And that's actually one of the reasons I've learned to actually love interviewing is because I love having dates with districts, meaning I love finding out, hey, what makes this district click? What is it passionate about? What are the people inside like? And are they going to be mutually beneficial for me? Because it's one thing to get hired by a district that you're a really good fit for them. And it's another thing completely to find a district, apply, and it's mutually beneficial for both of you. So make sure that you're showing up confidently, and that's one way to do that is just remind yourself this is just like a coffee date with a future best friend. I'm just seeing if they're going to be a good fit for me, and if they don't work out, that's okay. There's other future best friends out there for me. I know there is. It's just a matter of finding the right one and getting clear on what I want. So with all that being said, that wraps up the 5 steps or tips I have in regards to getting hired mid-year as a teacher. So the first step was to research the school. Make sure you're getting super clear on that school district and what makes them tick, what are they passionate about, and make sure to step number 2, customize your cover letter and resume and your interview to match and reflect those values that you are aligned with. Now, I'm not saying go to the mission statement and the values and just copy and paste them. I'm saying pick ones that you're actually aligned with, because in the interview, people are going to be able to tell if you're just saying what they want to hear versus you found mutual values that you're both both passionate about and you're both going to benefit talking about, and how you're going to be a benefit to them and they're going to be a benefit to you to creating your own or fitting and meeting your own mission and values. So make sure you're actually being authentic about that. Don't just copy and paste for the sake of getting a job. The third step or strategy for getting hired mid-year is to have some flexibility. Make sure to show throughout your interview when you're asking and answering questions that you're demonstrating stories where you've been flexible in the past, because that's a characteristic that districts are really going to be looking for moving forward. The fourth thing is to have a strong follow-up. Make sure you're following up with the district. Make sure you're reminding them why you're a good fit, things from your interview, what your strengths are, and how you both have the same mission and values, and how you can help them achieve those missions, those goals. The fifth and final thing is to have a positive mindset. Remind yourself that if it's not this district, that just means there's a better one out there for you, and you're just having coffee with a future best friend, seeing if it's going to be a good mutual beneficial relationship or not. So if you want to dive deeper into interviewing, I have a ton of resources for free on things like my podcast and my YouTube channel. So make sure to go check those out, because I have a lot of content so far in regards to interviewing. The second thing I highly recommend you check out is if you want me to kind of just compile all of my top interview tips and strategies, make sure to check out the teacher interview guide. Inside this guide, I linked to the top 10 I answered the top 10 interview questions that I get, and I link to additional podcasts and YouTube videos that you can tune into if you want a further explanation. And in, these questions I get are like things, what do I wear? How do I do a demo lesson? How do I answer interview questions? All of these things I cover in that guide, so make sure to go check that out. Second thing I highly recommend that you check out is if you want me to create your cover letter and resume for you, and all you have to do is plug and play your information into it, definitely check out the Ultimate Teacher Interview Bundle. Inside this bundle, I have things like 10 cover letter and resume matching templates. I have things like follow-up emails. I have examples in there so you can look at what my resume looks like. I have some trainings, and I'm super excited about, I am adding this year a new bonus, which is I'm going to actually be adding in my lesson plan template for doing a model lesson or a demo lesson during an interview. This is a lesson plan that I've gotten a ton of compliments on, not only when I did 2 demo lessons during my first year of teaching and I got hired during my interview. These were the lesson templates I used. Not only that, but I ended up reusing these as a teacher. They are what I use for observations. And so make sure to check those out if you grab the bundle, because it has something I have used time and time again, and I always get compliments from my principals and whoever's observing me on the lesson plan that I use. If you want to take it a step further and you want me to walk you through the entire process, you want help with not only the cover letter and resume, but you want help with everything from researching to landing the interview to what to say during the interview to following up to getting hired, and you want me to do it in a compact way, make sure to check out the Land Your Dream Job. This is my program that walks you through the entire interview process in a weekend. I made sure to make this process short, sweet, actionable, and punchy, because the reality is you don't want to spend your entire whatever time of year it is searching for jobs. You want to find your dream district, get hired by them, and start creating your classroom of your dreams. And that's what this program does. It helps you do all of that in a weekend so you can show up confidently during your interview and make the principals and the interview committee feel like you're reading their mind and you just feel like it's a completely aligned district for you. My goal and the whole reason I created this program is I really wanted to help new teachers find really good districts to get into during their first years, because I know how crucial it is as a new teacher to find somewhere where you're supported, seen, heard, and understood. And that's what this program does. It shows how I personally went about searching through all the districts where I was going to apply to 3 districts, get interviewed by 2 of them, get hired on the spot or offered the job during the interview. And it shows how I've helped other teachers do that too. Other teachers who couldn't find a job and during the summer, and then mid-year they ended up having an interview with their dream district and they ended up getting hired. So that's what this program's about. That's why I'm super passionate about it. So that wraps up everything about getting hired mid-year. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM, or if you see a comment section, make sure to drop them down below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. As always, remember, we are stronger together, and I'll see you in the next one, Teacher Bestie. Bye!